Hi everyone, this is Rion Paper, and in today's video I am going to rank very not objectively the inks from the Diamine Inkvent of this year. So in this year's Diamine Inkvent calendar we got 25 inks with various colors, various properties, and I just figured it would be a fun exercise to put them in different categories and sort of make a ranking and figure out what my favorite or maybe least favorite ink from this year's calendar is. Just a disclaimer, these are totally my personal opinions. If I seem to hate a color that you absolutely adore, all the more power to you. And maybe my favorite is one that you don't like at all. And that is all okay. I've sorted them in different categories so that we can talk about the category in general before taking a look at the various colors. So we've got the standard inks, we've got the scented inks, we've got the star bright inks, which have like a very coarse, very shiny shimmer particles. Then we have the extreme sheen inks, we have shimmer inks, and we have chameleon shimmers with a dual tone shimmer. So those are the 6 types of inks that we got. And I was thinking for sorting them, making a couple of categories. The favorite ones being like, I absolutely love this and I would totally consider getting a bottle. Then we have, I like it, it's cool, I would use it, but I'm probably done with it after the 12 milliliter like tiny bottle that we got in the Inkvent. Then we have, I appreciate that it's there, like it's unique enough, but it's not really for me. And then inks that I don't really like. And let's just see if that kind of works. So I want to start with the standard inks, because those are the most standard. Surprise. And in the standard category, we got cranberry, which I kind of wonder if this was maybe mislabeled as standard, because it has sheen. It sheens a lot. It's a sort of reddish pink, pinkish red magenta color. Then we've got Lullaby. We've got Wilted Rose, which is sort of a dusty pink, very red-leaning pink, very light, very soft. Lullaby is more of a sort of standard pink, I guess. Then we've got Marley, which is like a purplish gray. Then we've got Tundra, which is a brown-gray color. And we've got Potpourri, which is like another dusty pink, but way more pink leaning. First thing that I note when I see these 6 together is that they are all fairly close together in terms of their colors. There is no green, no yellow, no orange, no black, no blue. They're all like a bit more on that red, pink spectrum, some gray, brownish, but they are fairly close together, which kind of surprised me. It's also not necessarily my favorite types of colors in this case. So let's just tackle them one by one. Cranberry, for me, I do not necessarily love it. I think the name cranberry was quite well chosen. It definitely does remind me of the color of fresh cranberries. Not necessarily the ones that you get like dried and, how do I put it, like coated in sugar. Those are fairly common here in the Netherlands, but they look a bit more red. But these have that the sheen on this one definitely does remind me a bit of cranberries. It's It's a nice color, but I don't really think I would reach for it. It reminds me a little bit of Pilot Iroshizuko Momiji, which is also not really a color I reach for. So for me, it's gonna go in the... I appreciate it's there. I don't hate it, absolutely not, but I don't really see myself using it much. I really don't like the color of Lullaby, to be honest. This was the one on the 13th of December, so for me it was my birthday ink. But I really don't like this color. Sorry. I am also not a big fan of Potpourri, but I definitely like it more than Lullaby. It's more of a dusty color, which I just appreciate a little more. So I think that's gonna go in the same category as Cranberry. I really do like Wilted Rose. It's not top tier for me, but I definitely see myself using it. And the same goes for Marley. I like Marley. It looks nice. It's very usable, very legible, but not super special, I think. So it's gonna go in the same category as Wilted Rose. And then Tundra, I really, really like. I love my grays, I love my browns, and this one being right there in between is definitely a winner for me. It's not necessarily a super special color, but I'm just really happy to get a color that like it's just right up my alley. Then I'm gonna go to the scented inks, of which we got two. We've got Forest Ghetto, which smells like the Black Forest Ghetto, which basically just smells like cherries. And we've got Fruit Cocktail, which has just a general fruity scent. I will say I was a little disappointed that Diamine opted for two fruit scented inks. I would have loved something like a spice. Danielle from My Dandelion Diaries mentioned a peppermint scented ink. I think something like that would have been great. I loved Diamine Spruce from a couple years ago, which was like spruce scented. You know, I'm not the biggest. I love scented inks, which already kind of makes me a minority, I think. But I'm not the biggest fan of the fruit scented ones. Of these two, I think Forest Ghetto is great though. The cherry scent is nice, not too overpowering. The color is nice, and I was really surprised with how well this ink behaves, especially since scented inks tend to have a lot of bleeding and feathering. So this one goes in the... I wouldn't really reach for it, but it's like I appreciate it's there. Fruit Cocktail is just not really for me. I think it smells quite nice. I really do think that, but the color is just a bit too light and too sharp for me. And this one is absolutely less well behaved than Forest Ghetto. Then let's go to the Star Brights, of which we also got two. We've got Chilly Nights, which is a purplish dark blue color, kind of a blue-black with a very shimmery... Let's get that shimmer on camera. There's a lot of silver in there. And the same goes for Noble Fur, which is a green with a forest green with a silver shimmer. I like both of these. I think they're nice colors. I like the imagery of the Chilly Nights and the Noble Fur. Personally, I'm a bit hesitant putting the... I love writing with fines and extra fines, and I'm always a little afraid that these Star Bright inks clog it up a little bit more than a normal shimmer, even though I'm not necessarily sure that is true. If you know more about that, feel free to educate me in the comments. But the amount of shimmer in these inks just kind of makes me wonder if I should just use them in dip pens. Nevertheless, I think these are very, very nice. So for me, they go in the I appreciate having them here. I like them. I would use them, but they're not my favorites. I'm also now realizing that I'm definitely not gonna have enough space to put all of the little cards. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Then let's go to the extreme sheeners. And I think this may have been a new category this year. I'm not 100% sure. And to be completely honest, I am not the biggest sheen fan. I mean, I don't dislike sheen as a property, but I think there are certain sort of classic combinations, like a blue ink tends to often sheen towards a red or a pink. A red ink tends to sheen kind of greenish golden. Same goes for purple inks. So there are sort of these standard combinations that I'm not the biggest fan of. Green ink sheening red. And that's what we also see here. We have Grotto. Grotto is an orange red that has a very strong green sheen. Not unlike the sheen of Cranberry. They're actually quite similar. Although Grotto's sheen is definitely much brighter. Grotto is okay though. I quite like the color of Grotto. Even though for me the sheen is a little much. So I don't think I would really reach for it, but I can appreciate it being there. I am not the biggest fan of Sleigh Ride. I don't know what it is about the base color. The sheen is super similar to Grotto. It's a very bright greenish golden sheen. The base color is sort of between a brown and a red, and I just don't think it looks that great with the sheen. So personally, I don't love it. I really like Vibe though. Vibe is a teal color with a sort of magenta sheen, and I think it looks great. The only sort of nitpicky thing I have to say about this one is that I have a Diamine ink, which is a Cold Pens exclusive called Christine or Little Chris, depending on the size of the bottle you get. That looks very, very similar. But I will say I like this. It goes super well with the Petrol Lamy All-Star. So I do really like this one. But it's not a favorite. Cosmic Glow, I also appreciated being there, but it's definitely not really a me color. It's sort of more of a royal blue. It's got strong undertones of purple, and I've talked about my sort of slight dislike of purplish blues, like these darker colors. They just remind me so much of the ink color that we had to write with in primary school. That ink back then did not sheen like this one, so this one is definitely much cooler. I like the name Cosmic Glow. I think if you would throw a shimmer in here, it would be even cooler. But yeah, I appreciate it being there, but it's not really a color for me. This one, the one we got the big bottle of, Good Tidings, I absolutely love. While there are a fair amount of sheening colors that I don't like, black inks are definitely the exception, because I just think that everything goes well with black. It doesn't matter which color it sheens. If it's like this kind of brown bronze sheen, if it's a red sheen, a blue sheen, in this case a green sheen, sort of greenish, golden, brown. There's all kinds of colors in here. I really like this one. So Good Tidings is definitely a favorite of mine. Then we go to the regular shimmer inks. So not the chameleon shimmers that have a dual tone shimmer, but just regular shimmer inks. We've got Icy Lilac, which is a lilac color, kind of lavender-ish with a cool silver shimmer. And I really like this one. It's not a favorite, but I think it looks pretty. It's super wintry. I like it. And I'm running out of space, so we're kind of gonna put these one a little closer together. And I'm gonna put this one here. Then we have Baltic Breeze, day number 1 of this Inkvent. It's a lighter, slightly purple leaning blue with, or a blue leaning purple, I'm not sure, with a sort of coppery rose gold shimmer, and I really, really like this ink. I think it's beautiful. It's definitely a favorite of mine from this calendar. And that, I think the determining factor for me was the color of the shimmer. It's so warm, and it reminds me of the sun setting on the sea, and just like that intense warm light. I think it's beautiful. Then we have Nutmeg, which is a sort of greenish brown color, yellowy greenish brown, with a super warm golden shimmer. Another favorite, absolutely adore it. And the same goes for Salted Caramel. So the shimmers really were a win for me this year. Salted Caramel is like a golden, yellowy brown with a golden shimmer, and I think it's beautiful. It's a bit tame, maybe. As in, it's a bit expected, you know, a golden colored ink with a golden shimmer. That's not something super crazy, but it just works really, really well. So let's put these over here. So far, before we move on to the last category, we have 5 favorites, 6 inks that I really like, but that are maybe not a favorite, 5 inks that I kind of appreciate them being there, but wouldn't really reach for them, and 3 inks that I could have definitely done without. Then we go to the last category, which is the chameleon shimmers, and those are going to be hard to capture on camera because it really depends on the angle of the lights and the sort of the color of the lights, which kind of shimmer you can see on them. For example, this first one, Snow Globe, has a blue and sort of purple shimmer, but that's going to be really hard to capture on camera. For this one in particular, I also think there's a little too little shimmer on this card, but I really like this one. It's not a favorite, but it's definitely very cool. It's blue. It has a shimmer that either looks like a shimmery icy blue or more of a slightly warmer purple. Really nice. Then we've got Mint Twist. Mint Twist is also quite nice. It's definitely not a favorite. Mint is not really my color. I do love anything mint flavored though, so this one is definitely a winner in that department. I would have loved for this one to be scented and maybe not shimmery, but it's fine. It has a shimmer that is either a bit bluish or I think more silvery? No, more pink. Oh, you're definitely not going to see that on camera, are you? I'm trying, but there's just too much light here. I like it, but not a favorite. Wishing Tree is definitely a favorite of mine. It has a shimmer that is either sort of almost brownish pink, like a very warm color, or green. It reminds me a lot of the Dominant Industry Autumn Forest. I think a lot of people have said that already. They're just really similar, but that one doesn't have the cool chameleon shimmer, and I really, really like this one. Winterberry is, I think, another favorite. It has really grown on me. At first, I thought it's just like, I just like it, but I think it's actually one of the favorites of the calendar. I really like the bright red. It has a red and gold shimmer, I think. Yeah, definitely golden under certain angles, and then on the other angles it's colder, a bit like a cold red color, a cool red color. Very nice, I love it. Even though it's a little similar to Diamond Tinsel from last year. Then we have Lemon and Lime, a bit of a polarizing color, I've realized. A lot of people seem to dislike this one. The base color I am definitely not the biggest fan of. but I do really like this chameleon shimmer. So it's definitely not really a for me color, but I do appreciate what they did with this shimmer because it has like this warm, like almost coppery shimmer to it next to the sort of green color that you can also see. I think it's interesting. It's interesting enough to not go on the bottom tier. And then we've got another favorite of mine, which is Pine Needle. Pine Needle this is absolutely one of my favorite colors just in the base color. But then it has this chameleon shimmer that is both green and gold. Is it gold? It's definitely green. What else is there? Is it a gold? Or is it? No, it's definitely a bit cooler, I think. I don't know. It's hard to see, but there's definitely green in there. It feels sort of like these are kind of siblings, the Winterberry and the Pine Needle. They sort of mirror each other. I don't know. Maybe that's just my head. I think the shape of the tier list that I've created is definitely a good indication for me that this calendar was worth it. I think if there were only a couple of favorites and a lot of colors I wouldn't use, then I would probably regret getting the calendar. But I'm actually really pleased with how many colors there are that I do like. There's a couple that are not really for me, but you know, that's okay. You're getting 25 colors. You're not gonna love them all. The chance of you liking all of them is just really slim. I would love to hear if any of you would have made a tier list that is very similar to this, or if your tier list would look completely different. If one of your favorites is maybe Sleigh Ride, Fruit Cocktail, or Lullaby. I really hope that a lot of you love these colors because that makes, you know, that means that they put something in there for everyone. And do we share any favorites? Definitely let me know. Yeah, I think if you've watched some of my like currently inked videos and ink swatching videos, it's probably not super surprising. The top tier is definitely very me colors. Not too bright, most of them. Lots of greens, browns, grays. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I definitely hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye!